the fact that we have people who are strong atheists stopping and going, wait a second, where's the foundation? Where is that bottom line at?
Hey guys, welcome back to Unfiltered Truth, where we live by the facts, the truth, the Bible, and we do that by faith. So today I'm with my sister Sarah. My brother Jeremiah is behind the scenes over here, and we're just really glad to have you guys at our second episode. So right here at Unfiltered Truth, what we do is we talk about culture and what's happening in our world, right?
Unfiltered.
Unfiltered, that's it. And to leave it all, nothing on the table.
That's right.
To be open and honest about this. So my sister Sarah has 3 children. Tell us about yourself.
Yeah, married of 18 years and 3 kiddos, living on a farm, loving life, 2 full-time jobs, lots of sports.
2 full-time jobs.
Well, my husband has one of the other. Should say that correctly. Feels like I have 2 full-time. I have 4 full-time jobs, actually. Yeah. So excited about this. Been listening to your preaching for 2 years now?
Yeah.
And
I guess so.
I think that it's important that we get this out of our small town here in Kentucky and get this on a podcast. Not I think, I know.
Right.
And because you have truth, you have truth that people need to hear from all over the world.
Well, so, and I know you're speaking to the fact that for quite some time we've been in a series called Faith and Truth. It's worth fighting for. And so when somebody says and has the thought, well, what's worth fighting for? The truth's worth fighting for. This is no matter if you're coming from a place from Christianity, if that's your foundation, or if you don't even believe that there's a creator. Okay, fine. But guess what? There's still truth.
Yeah.
Right? So when you say faith and culture, because everybody has faith in something.
Something.
The atheist has faith that there's no God. So it's worth fighting. What is it that's worth fighting for as we look out in the streets of America today and across the world? What is it to you that's worth fighting for?
I want my children to live in a world to know what the truth is.
What the truth is.
I want my kids to never have a doubt of what that truth is. And not just my kids. I want all of my family. I want all of my friends, because I know that this is just a blip in life and that eventually we're going to be where we really belong.
Eternity.
Yes.
There's something after this.
There's something after this that's way more important.
So here's something I get hung up on that really bothers me is when somebody says, because it's all across the internet, well, you have your truth and I have mine.
Right.
What if your truth is different than my truth? What do you think about that?
I'm sure that there's going to be things we might disagree on or think something differently, but it has to go back. There has to be a foundation
of truth.
And yeah. that's where my beliefs in politics come from. I'll just go there. What makes abortion wrong? The fact that it's murder, right? There's a truth in absolutely everything, and we are all anchored in that truth, whether it's right or wrong.
Whether it's right or wrong, no matter what your opinion is. That's the thing. Life is life. So here's another one. What about, I heard this one recently on an interview. This person was interviewing several people. And they said, okay, when it comes to abortion, do you think a woman should have the right to choose? And they said, yes, she should have. Okay, fine. That's where you're at. That's good. Well, what about a 12-year-old boy? Should he have the right? Let me try to bring this together. If he wants a tattoo, should he be able to make that decision on his own without his parents? They said, well, no. Okay, so we're getting into that type of...
We're hitting right or wrong.
It's not logic, so I don't know what you'd call it. But so no, a boy at 12 years old, he can't make that type of decision for himself. They said, okay. Well, then what about that same boy, but he thinks that he's a girl and wants to take life-altering drugs?
Medicine, yeah.
They said, well, okay, you got me. Yes, they should be able to do that. Wait a minute now. everything that you just answered contradicts what you said, right? So that's why we're doing this. There is a truth. There's an underlying truth in this world that we live in that I want to get to the bottom of, you know? Take politics out of it and just be honest with ourselves about between what's right and what's wrong.
Right.
Of course, then you can go down this whole rabbit hole of where does right and wrong come from?
Right.
Right? Where does our moral standard come from? Right? Is it from our opinions? Well, Hitler thought that he had his opinions.
And look where that got him.
Look at death. It led straight to death for millions of people. So, you know, we're living in a time in Canada, they are trying to pass a bill. I don't know what you call it over there, a law in Parliament, however it works in Canada, where they have assisted suicide. Okay, fine. If that's where they've led, okay, you know, I don't live there. I don't see it as right, but that's y'all, right? Well, now they're wanting to make the law where children as young as 12 years old can choose to have assisted suicide by a doctor without parental consent.
Well,
there you go.
My child can't even go get a flu shot right now. At
exactly.
School without my parental consent of he or she getting a flu shot. But
or a tattoo.
Or buying cigarettes or alcohol or I mean we have all these laws that now you just
But yet the powers that be want to make it so that if your child has questions about their sexuality at school,
right,
the teachers don't have to tell the parents. See, that's the world we're living in.
Because there's no foundational truth. And that's where when I am trying to talk to my kids about different things, because they'll come home and especially my sixth grader, right? It's his first year of middle school. It's my oldest. And he'll come home and say, this girl scratched me today at school. And I'm like, why? And of course I worry like, oh my gosh, is it going to get infected? Da, da, da. And then he starts telling me more information. She scratched me because she thinks she's a cat and she hisses.
No.
And, yes.
Well, I mean, I'm not surprised.
I know, right? And it's I'm just like, and what do you say to that? You know? And I'm like, and the only thing I can tell him is be nice to her. And stay out of the conversation with her and pray for her.
Why isn't the school doing something? Why aren't they allowed to take this head on with a child that thinks they're a cat?
Who's scratching children because
there's obviously something wrong.
There's mental health at play. She's in the 6th grade, so she's 11 or 12 years old, playing like a cat. And it just... No one can sit there if you have a foundation of truth in what we were created as, what our purpose in life is, who we are, that we were made in God's image. Nowhere in the Bible does it say that Jesus is like, yeah, I made you in my image, but a few people I let them know that they could be cats.
So people that believe in like in-depth evolution, is that where their thoughts are coming from? Like that's okay because things evolve. Like so for our culture, and in this society today, that's all right. We should allow that. That's progress for a child. Do they think they're evolving into these things? What in the world? Why would that make that okay? And why would anyone think that a child that is allowed to continue to have that type of thought would be any type of good for a society?
Exactly.
As they become an adult.
Exactly. Right. How are you helping this child by enabling her to feel like it's okay that you can wear tails or all the things?
So if the school system isn't allowed to step in and do something about it,
and I don't know if they are. I don't know what the full story is.
I'm just saying. Okay.
Exactly.
So across this country of ours,
exactly. Typically, they're not allowed to.
If the powers that be say that you can't step in and do something about that, if the parents aren't, because the parents are probably gone, no logic there at this point. I think that our jobs suddenly have to the discussion has to point towards how do we raise our kids to combat these things today.
Exactly. And,
right?
Another example is I'm watching my 11-year-old the other day. I caught him. He was rubbing his hands together and he had a piece of foil and he was shooting his hands at the foil. And I looked at him, I said, "What are you doing?" And he was like, "It makes it go down." And I'm like, "Well, yeah, it's the static electricity. It's the, so I'm trying to explain to him why the foil is going down. You don't have Jedi powers, right? Like Star Wars isn't real." And I try to catch those things up front instead of, "Oh, let's not tell the kids that this isn't real or that isn't real." I try, and I don't do a great job at it. And I don't think any parent does. But the foundational truth is that God did not give you superpowers, and you need to know that.
But don't we do that with our kids right off the bat, telling them about Santa Claus and the Tooth Fairy?
That's why I said I'm not good at it. Yeah, because I'm still.
I feel guilty for doing those things. An elf. You know what I said to Jolie, my youngest? For those of you that don't know, she's 5. If I thought that, which I haven't come out and told her it's not real, okay? But if I was her size and I thought that this little elf, this little doll, was moving around when I wasn't watching,
going to my bedroom,
would freak me out.
And it doesn't.
But it's okay, So we're putting these things in our child's minds.
Of course we are. We tell them that a fat man in a beard does all these things, and they literally go, "Don't do that. Santa's watching."
But then at the same time, we gotta have some fun,
right? Well. But here's the thing, I think that we were raised with Santa. I remember a Christmas where, Dad did something on the roof and all of a sudden there's presents under the tree because we used to have to travel.
We fell off.
We used to have to travel at Christmas time to family. And so we didn't always, I think, have a normal Christmas morning. And so I remember.
Which we're the ones doing the traveling now.
Right. But I remember, coming out of the bedroom and there were presents and it was broad daylight. So we must have had Christmas at a different time. I'm sure Jeremiah can speak more to this because he was way older. But, it's like we were raised with, with Santa Claus. We were not raised with elves. They didn't have them yet from Target. But we were raised with that. So how can you not put this thought into children's minds? And yes, it's fun. In this past year and a half, I've been able to tell my 2 older ones, hey, Santa's not real, and I've tried to tie in the magic of Christmas and all the things. And it's like, no, it has nothing to do with any of this.
That's just it.
We have commercialized Jesus' birth.
Yes.
We have
Easter.
We have taken it to the wrong areas. And so I try to bring it back and go, you know what? We give gifts because we do the best we can to show our children how much we love them by buying them all the stuff that they want and they love it and they get these temporary whatever, because we tried to find that feeling of the gift that God gave us, which was Jesus.
Yes.
And that, and it's...
But that's blown way out of proportion.
And I still blow it out of proportion. We all do. Yes, with an elf and all the things. Anyways, we've gone down the rabbit hole of Christmas, but it's really... There's a sign in the town up north, and it's for people who are going to some type of AA classes or whatever. And it's been there for years now, and it says, "Walk in your truth."
Exactly. That's what I'm talking about.
And that's what people do every single day. They walk in their own truth.
Well, what if I believe I'm Santa Claus? How about that one? But then you get into these conversations with these people that believe these things, and they'll say, "Well, no, that couldn't happen." Well, hang on. What if I think I'm a woman that can get pregnant? Well, that's okay. Well, then why can't I think I'm Santa Claus?
Right.
These are the things that we've got to talk about. And I think that most normal thinking people, believer or not, in Christ, are looking at this and shaking their head and just turning and looking the other way. We are getting bombarded with this information online, these videos, as if that's the norm. I don't believe that thinking people are all gone.
No.
I really don't.
Absolutely.
I think that this stuff is getting pushed on us through algorithms, through all these, through media, to the point that we think everybody else thinks this is normal. And so when you take someone that's weak-minded, like the parents of the little girl that thinks she's a cat, and they'll go all the way with this thing. They will go all the way. We have got to be able to stand up and tell the truth. No, you're not a cat. No, a man isn't welcome into a woman's restroom where my wife and daughters are. These things are not so. You know, and it gets frustrating, and it wears you out to wake up and to see this stuff all over again, right? Tomorrow when we get up, it's just going to something else. No, this stuff doesn't even surprise us now. No surprises.
No, my 11-year-old has a cell phone. He has access to TikTok. Yes, I'm a terrible parent, but he's constantly going through rabbit holes of videos. When he has downtime, he is on rabbit holes of videos. Do I know what's in those videos? Absolutely.
You know who else does that? Me.
Exactly. And me.
And these endorphins are popping into our brain.
Yep.
You know, and
that's where they're getting it.
But not only that, we live in a time now where I think they're from Congress that put out the video telling our military recently to defy orders that are given if they deem those illegal. If you're given illegal orders, wait a minute now. You see, these things that are going on are that. So some people have put out a video saying that if you're in the military, let me make sure I get this right, and you disagree with the orders as if they're illegal orders, that we support you to defy those orders. Well, what's the outcome of that? Civil war? I mean, we this thing goes we can go from a little girl that thinks she's a cat in the 6th grade, okay, who's hissing at kids, to the fact that the people that are leading our country in a lot of ways, in a lot of different places, in different states and all these things across our country, have absolutely lost their ever-living mind.
Yeah.
And it all starts with this. You live out your truth, I'll live out mine.
Yep.
Well, when your truth starts bleeding into me and my family and this culture and society and it's doing the things that it's doing today, we got to stand up. Whether or not they're going to call us racist, bigots, whatever, they can say whatever they want.
Yeah.
But at some point, if we don't do something, they will look at us as people that aren't fit to be parents. There's some of that stuff happening before this last presidential election.
Mm-hmm.
Some people were losing their children for doing the right thing.
Mm.
So, you know, as we talk about these things, I'm reminded, Sarah, why are we even starting this? This was not my idea to start this podcast, right? And then you came to me, you and Jay, you know, like we already have a platform here at the church, right? Already a pastor at church, also work full time. So I don't, you know.
You don't really have time for this.
Well, you know, but it's okay because we have to have time to tell the truth.
Right. In a whole different format. I mean, this church is only so big, right? And it's growing and it's growing and it's growing. And I truly believe, and I would toss it out there to say everybody in here that continues to come believes that because God has given you this anointing, this ability to stand up there and say the things that a lot of pastors will not say in a pulpit because they're afraid to offend someone.
Mm-hmm.
They may believe it if you take them off one-on-one, and they're going to go, "Oh yeah, no, I don't think kids should be allowed to do X, Y, Z."
Right.
You will say it because you know you have the power of Jesus behind you, saying, "I need you to share these things."
So a lot of times, pastors won't speak up because a lot of it has to do with money.
Yeah.
You start losing people, those different things, but we can't worry about that.
We can't worry about that, exactly. And I know that you don't care about those. You don't care about how much money is going to be coming in the door. I mean, you do. You care about this church.
I mean,
but your goal.
We have to tell the truth.
We have to tell the truth. And sometimes you offend people, and people have left here, and people have argued with you, and people have, all the things that's going to happen. And I always, always, always go back to anytime something is said about, we all take things personal, right? Mm-hmm. And most of us. And when you go, man, I can't believe they were talking, that's not true about me. That's not this. And I can't imagine the level that you deal with that on, even in a small church. But they persecuted Jesus first.
They sure did.
He literally did. He never sinned. He never did anything bad to anyone. And his own people turned on him because he stood for truth.
Our hearts are wicked and deceitful, mine included, all of humanity's. And we can't help but turn towards things that aren't good for us.
Yeah.
And today,
so much more fun sometimes.
Well, the thing is, though, whenever you finally do come to a place where you see what Jesus did accomplish,
yeah,
and that void in your heart and your soul is fulfilled, you finally found, I'm not going to say fun, but you found what you've been missing.
Peace.
And then who cares about fun? You find real joy.
Exactly.
Those Christmas presents for our children are fleeting happiness on Christmas morning. We're talking about truth that will sustain you on into eternity.
Exactly.
That's why we're doing this.
Yes.
Is to talk about the truth.
And I really, truly believe God put this on my heart. I do. I listen to a lot of podcasts. I do a lot of driving. I know that's all you do is drive. Mm-hmm. Podcast is how Jesus is reaching people, and Jesus is reaching people a million different ways. But that is, I think, a really big way right now because of our technology and the abilities that we have, and that we have all these apps on our phone, and it's constant. So you want to flip on your phone, you want to go into virals of videos and all the things.
Yes.
Find something that is going to actually give it back to you, right? And so what can fill you back up? And I try that when I am listening to a podcast that it's of the Jenny Allens or the Mark Driscolls and folks like that I know God is speaking through. So as I'm cleaning my kitchen one day, I work from home, and I'm listening to a podcast of a fellow with a very similar testimony to yours, and you popped in my head of like, Dylan has a story that we can put out there. And with Jeremiah's production capabilities, and he has all the talent to do all the things that make it happen, you have the credibility of the fact that you're pastoring a church, and you are you're telling the truth, and you have a story that needs to get out there, not for you, not for me, not for anyone, but the people who are lost, or you want answers.
Well, yeah. Why am I here?
Yeah. What's my purpose? Why am I so miserable?
What do I tell my kids? How do I go about this? If you see this stuff going on and you don't know how to deal with it, we want to talk about it.
Exactly.
We want to talk to you about how to deal with it.
Exactly. Because if you're
how to approach it.
Every single one of us is dealing with spiritual warfare.
Oh, yeah.
We just may not know what it is. And we are trying to figure out how parenting is literally the hardest job you will ever do.
And being married.
And being married. But yeah, the hardest jobs. But that's where the battleground starts. It starts in your home.
It sure does.
It's, it starts right where you sleep. And so I think that God put this on my heart because we got something here at River Point Church, and we have the anointing that God has put on you. And so I think that this unfiltered truth that you're fine to say, and you don't care if you step on toes. And like you said today in your sermon, you're upset about it. That's between you and Jesus. Mm-hmm. That ain't don't come to me about it.
So, Sarah, one of the things that I've learned that has begun to shape how I'm seeing these things is the fact that we now live in a post-Christian culture. Now, let me explain what that is. A post-Christian culture, where we are, the gospel has already been preached and taught in America since our founding, okay? Mm-hmm. Now, we've come to a place, everybody thinks that they've heard the gospel today in this generation. Well, we've already heard the gospel. We've already heard it. The truth is, not everybody has heard the gospel. The gospel has also been twisted in so many ways. The scriptures teach us that wolves will come in sheep's clothing. I mean, you got the prosperity gospel. You got this gospel of being of comfort. This gospel of comfort as if life is, you come to the Lord, you come to God, and your life's going to be easy. You won't ever have cancer, all these things. Or this gospel that Oprah gives about all roads lead to God kind of thing, whether you're Hindu or Muslim or whatever the case would be. No, and this is why people get upset about the gospel and Jesus. It's because the gospel is 100% exclusive. So people talk DEI and all these other lies that is why our culture and our society and this post-Christian culture hates the gospel. By the way, they're all the ones that say we're inclusive. If you got a voice, if you got an opinion, bring it on in. No, not when you start sharing the gospel, the truth. Okay, so here we are in a post-Christian culture. But the funny thing about that is, post-Christian, it's already been preached, so everybody thinks they done heard it. We're on to something. We're progressing, right? Well, you take a guy like Richard Dawkins, one of the most well-known atheists of our generation, and he has come out and said now that he considers himself a cultural Christian. Well, what is a cultural Christian? Elon Musk has said the same thing. He considers himself that he lives by cultural Christianity values, Christian values, Christian morals, right? That whether or not I don't believe in Jesus at all, like Richard Dawkins, but his claim is that he would rather live in a society and a culture that lives by those Christian values, that lives by those Christian standards, right? It gives us a boundary. That's why people think you come to God and you're going to lose all these things. Actually, what he has done is put up a guardrail and said, hey, if you go too fast around that curve, you're going to wreck, right?
Right.
That's why there's a guardrail there.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to me that you see these great minds, right? Richard Dawkins is no fool.
No.
Right?
Brilliant.
And he sees the one thing that he's been against as, oh my gosh, look at what's happening. It's just like Oxford and Harvard and all these other places we talked about before started out as seminaries, right? And now they're the place that just breeds and vomits out things against truth today. Talking about DEI, being inclusive, whatever all the other languages. And we need to pay attention. Faith and culture, it's worth fighting for. We need to pay attention to how they're defining these things. If someone says, are you a Christian nationalist? First thing you need to do is stop and say, well, what is a Christian nationalist to you?
Right.
So most of the time they'll say something like this. They'll say, well, a Christian nationalist is somebody who they're a Christian and they're trying to get everybody else, in their culture and in their society to believe what they believe, right? Kind of thing.
Check.
So in other words, they're for their country, right? They're for their country, but they want you to believe in this gospel. Well, yeah, I do.
Check.
But it's given and defined in such a way as if we're doing something wrong, but in such a way as if they're doing something different. When they're trying to say their opinions is what they're wanting to share, well, if they can have theirs, why can't I have mine?
Right.
Right?
Go back.
We're the ones being pushed out. Go back to COVID, and why was the liquor stores and the strip clubs, by all means, not leaving nothing out, liquor stores, strip clubs, pot dispensaries, Walmart, all these things were okay, but you closed down the church along with the schools and everything else. Why the church? Because the church has power. We have power together collectively. So on a platform like this, we want people to say, hey, it's okay. Here, we'll talk with us. We'll have a voice with you about the truth, right? So it's not being quiet. They want us to be quiet.
They want us to be quiet. They want us to be the silent majority.
That's it.
Yeah, because the loud, what is it? The squeaky wheel gets the grease, right? And we've seen so many squeaky wheels over the last 10 to 15 years of why, if I believe that I'm a man when I'm really a woman, why can't I? And we all stand back and go, you're right. It's not PC. It's not politically correct. It's not this. It's not that. When at the end of the day, none of those claims, none of those thoughts, none of those beliefs are founded in anything. I woke up today. I woke up late. I'm 42, so I'm hormonal, I'm tired, I'm all these things, I'm really hungry, right? That's my truth today. But if I allow my parenting to be founded in my truth today, if I allow my thoughts to be founded in my truth today, if I allow all those things, I'm going to be a really crappy person today.
Yeah. No
and that's going to spiral into tomorrow because now I'm guilty about yesterday.
Yes.
And it's going to keep going. And that's what people do because we are human. We have problems. We all have mental health issues. And if we don't stop and go, I get it, and I'm really broke right now, and Christmas is around the corner, and oh, poor pitiful me, and man, what a victim I am, and oh, I've got all these bad things in my life, because we all do that all the time.
Justify.
We justify every
That's bred in our culture.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. We are victims. We are
Everybody's
all
a victim. That's another part of this whole equation. Everybody, this isn't about being Republican, about being Democrat.
No.
This is about truth. Okay, you want to make everybody out to be a victim? Then go be poor, pitiful you over there in the corner and depend on the government to pay for everything you need. That's not what I'm going to do.
Podcast, exactly.
Yeah, but victim, victim, victim.
Yes, exactly. And you know, the fact that we have people who are strong atheists stopping and going, wait a second, where's the foundation? Where is that bottom line at?
Because if there's not, it just keeps going into the abyss.
It keeps going and it will never make sense and it will always contradict.
That's right. So come back and see us again on Unfiltered Truth.
Especially if you don't have a truth.
If you need to know truth, you want to talk, well, what's all this mean? Come back. Right here on Unfiltered Truth, where we live by the facts, the truth, the Bible, and we do that by faith. We thank you guys for coming out, and we'll see you next time.